What is up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another episode. We've got a Q&A coming at you. Big thanks to everybody, as always, for all the Qs, the questions. If you're like, you know what, I got a good health and fitness question or just a question for us, you can submit your questions. There's a link in the show notes or the bio, wherever you're listening. And you can just literally just enter your question, hit submit. You don't even have to give us your email or name. You can do it. You can give us a fake one if you want. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you can do it there or head over to Instagram, In-situ Podcast. Search that, will pop up. Give us a follow and give us your questions there. We post a lot of our Q&A content on there. So if you agree, disagree, you can have your say there. Also on YouTube as well, we break each question up so you can just listen along to each question, and we'd appreciate a like, subscribe and a comment on those videos if you got the time. We would love that. I believe you got some rapid fire for us.
Yeah, let's go. So last night I went to a trivia night. I'm in the mood. I'm in the mood for some rapid fire questions. I'll be honest though, I feel like I'm not very good at trivia. General knowledge questions, not my forte, but I was the scribe, so I contributed equally to the trivia. So now it's Jack's turn to answer some questions because he didn't come last night. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, favorite ice cream flavor?
This is a trick question. Chocolate.
Say a word in Spanish.
Hola.
You can do better than that.
Como estás?
I hope Diego and Mariana aren't listening. Your favorite number?
7.
Why?
It's a good number.
Is it?
Or 42.
What? Why?
That's the answer to the universe.
Okay.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was 42, wasn't it?
I don't know. Okay. Who has it easier, men or women?
Men.
Yeah, I agree. Have you ever worn socks with sandals?
Yes.
Yes. Why can't we tickle ourselves?
Don't know.
Is it because we know that it's coming?
Yeah. Don't know.
Okay, that's a bad answer. What does a person need to be happy?
Purpose.
Oh, good answer. Okay, what's the best age in your opinion?
36.
Are you 36? How old are you? Are you 36? Wow. Is double dipping at a party ever acceptable?
What do you mean?
Double dipping. Like if you have a chip, take a bite, dip again.
No.
Okay, good answer.
Avoid it at all costs.
Good answer. Okay, you feel warm?
Unless the dip is yours and your own dip, that's okay.
Well, but are there other people at the party?
Yeah, but you might have your own.
So if we host a party, we can dip?
No, like if I've got a tub of dip and it's my own dip.
Why are you carrying your own tub of dip around in a party?
Because it could be delicious.
Okay. You feel good now?
Yeah.
Okay, let's...
Before we get into...
okay.
Well, let's just answer the question that we've been getting the most. Where can I get some sweet in-situ merch?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
We have been getting that a lot. I am not wearing any in-situ... Neither of us are. So I've been wearing some in-situ merchandise. So tees and jumpers, hoods. Yeah. One way to make sure you do get some merch is to hit the support link and support this show. It's a bit weird to ask people to pay to support this show, but...
I don't think it is. I happily pay to support Andrew Huberman.
So you can do that. So those that have done that have got some sweet tees. So they're rocking the tees. Hoods. I know a few of you are looking for the hoods.
Everyone in Melbourne at the minute is like, give me a damn grey hoodie.
We're still trying to narrow down...
We haven't found the right hood. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So maybe we found the right hood, but then who's printed on it?
Yeah.
Like it's not easy to do. And to be honest, if we were to sell the ones we got now, then we're not real happy with the quality, and it would still cost you about $180, and we're breaking even on that. So we don't want to charge $180 for an average hood.
Yeah. To clarify, it is easy to do. It's easy to get things printed on a hood and drop ship. But it's not easy to get the quality and the fit that we want to give to you guys. Because I don't want I would hate nothing more than for someone to pay for something of ours and it peels or the material balls or it falls apart. Like that
doesn't wash
drives
well.
me nuts.
Yep.
So we really want to make sure it's perfect.
Probably next winter we might have something sorted for you
God.
guys. The teas are definitely there. I think we've nailed those now. Pretty happy with those. So if you do support this show, you will get a tea, no matter what price you decide to support on.
So you hit the first link in the description and it takes you to a support page?
Support us, or if you're listening somewhere, I think there's a little love heart or support.
Oh, cool.
You can hit that on the banner and it takes you to the support page.
Nice. Ready?
Ready.
Okay, the first question is from Nathan. What is the best coffee for weight loss? Weird question. So I think your face tells me that you are thinking that he asked it in terms of which coffee is going to help me lose weight. I think he means which coffee should I be drinking if I'm trying to lose weight. So because all of us drink, not all of us, a lot of us drink probably 1 to 3 coffees a day. And if you are trying to lose weight, that's a lot of calories that you're drinking if you drink it with milk. So if weight loss is your goal, then black coffee is your friend because it has no calories, maybe 1 or 2 calories. So black coffee could be a espresso or a long black, just like no added things. And then obviously when you add things like cow's milk is probably the highest in calories, but probably the milk I would recommend if you aren't dairy intolerant. And then I'm pretty sure it goes soy milk, and then the other nut milks like almond and oat are pretty much the same. But either way, just consider like the size of your coffee, the type of milk you're having, and if you're having any sweeteners, because that also adds a lot of calories as well. And I feel like it's so easy for us to overlook the calories that we drink because we aren't actively eating them. So we forget that they have some value, and that can make a huge difference when you're trying to lose weight.
Just good rule in general, don't drink your calories.
Yeah.
I think we've said that about fat loss before, different fat loss questions, and one of the biggest things is just don't drink your calories. Even for us, I'm very mindful of drinking my calories because it can easily sneak up on you. And you added an extra 500 calories to your day just through the drinks you're having, if not more.
Yeah, and you don't even notice. Doesn't even fill you, doesn't satiate you, so it's not like maybe it's enjoyable, but it's not necessarily beneficial for body composition, if that's what your goal is. Anyway. Okay, next question is, why does your heart rate go up so much during exercises like split squats and lunges? Higgs.
Good question. So Higgs sent me this after she'd done it and was sort of freaking out, like my heart rate's way too high for these exercises. Is something wrong? And the answer is no. So you think about it, especially legs. Your legs are the biggest muscle group in your body, really. And it takes a lot of energy to do that. So, we're a bicep curl. It's one single muscle. If you isolate, it doesn't take that much effort. And obviously, when you use a muscle, your heart is trying to pump blood into those muscles to give them energy and just do all the things it needs to. So basically, some people might not experience this, but more advanced lifters, like Leanne, are going to experience this because you can push super hard on those leg exercises. And you think about it, you're fully contracted, really. So yeah, you might just be working your legs, but if you're doing a rear foot elevated split squat or a Bulgarian split squat, whatever you want to call them, you're pretty much working every muscle in your body, really, if you're doing it properly. And then if you're good at them, you're going to be pushing hard. So you're pretty much working every single muscle in your body. So your heart is trying to pump blood throughout your body, but because most of the muscles are contracted, it's hard for it to do it as well. So it's sort of like if you're blowing up a balloon, if you're just sitting there, it's blowing up a balloon normally, but when your muscles are contracted, it's trying to, blow that air through a tiny little straw because it's all contracted and there's nowhere for that air to go. So that's probably a bad example, but you know what I mean.
I get it.
Cool. So basically, you're just contracting your muscles a lot harder, and it's harder for your heart to pump blood to those muscles. So it is a good thing, and you can use it as cardio when you get really good at it.
I feel like that's where most of my cardio comes from.
It does at the moment. You've got to join in on the Saturday challenges.
I know.
So yeah, not a bad thing. It's just normal. And again, the better you get at those exercises, the more your heart's going to pump. So you can do that with a bicep curl when you're really good at bicep curls, for an example. But it's obviously a lot easier to do when you're using all your muscles instead of just one.
Yeah. Good question, though. Okay, next, how do I overcome a plateau?
Yep. I was just going to leave it there. So Dion.
Okay.
Good question. And we're going to go into a lot more detail with this. Dion's given us a bit of a brief on his activities and all that sort of stuff. So how do I overcome a plateau? I figured I'd stop it there and then ask you, like, answers are good, but a good question is better. So what would your follow-up question be to Dion if he's just asked that, how do I overcome a plateau?
From a nutrition perspective, just in general, what are you trying to achieve?
So again, like, I want to stop and just sort of break this down a bit, because everybody listening, you've probably got questions, you've probably had thoughts about your health and fitness. Just taking the time to ask better questions is going to get you a better answer. If anybody has used any AI these days, asking good questions gives you better answers. And it's the same with just life in general. The better questions you ask, the better answer you'll get, so the better results you'll have. So, and that's exactly what I asked Dion, like, what are your goals? So I said, well, I asked, what are you plateauing on? So it's sort of the same thing. So he said he's hitting a plateau with my training. I'm stuck at the same weight, as in with the exercises.
Okay.
So he's trying to progressively overload each week, and he's stuck at the same weight. And his goal is to gain muscle. So from there, what question would you ask?
How much food are you eating? Are you eating enough food? And then probably, are you eating enough protein?
So I went the other way. I said, what program are you doing?
Because you're the trainer and the nutritionist.
So, and I've got answers to both of those. Again, you can use these answers for your own self, everybody listening. It's just good to follow along. So I'll answer yours first. So he's eating 1,700 to 2,000 calories per day.
Whoa.
And that consists of 120 to 140 grams of protein and 150 to 200 grams of carbs. I didn't ask about fats because I wasn't too worried, because his goal is muscle gain. What would you say to that answer? That
he is not eating enough.
I'd say his protein's
But I
pretty
also
good.
don't know his body weight or his height or his daily activity.
All right, so let's get into... So again, I asked, what program are you following? Because sometimes people are just going into the gym and just...
Flapping around, and I'm not progressively loaded and not tracking. So he's actually following a really good program. I forgot to ask where he actually got this one from, but it's a 4-day a week. So push, pull, legs, and a full body. Cool.
Which is good. So if you're a long-time listener, you know that we pretty much follow that full body workouts. We don't really do splits. If I was to recommend anybody to do a split workout, I'd recommend this, because if you do miss the pull workout, you still got a full body, so you're still going to hit that muscle group. So unfortunately, if it's just fully split, then, and you miss your chest, you're not going to work your chest for another week. But at least there's a full body in here, so you're going to catch that up, to a certain extent. So not a bad program. I'd rate it highly. Obviously, activity. We know he works in the cafe here. So he's on his feet, moving around all day. So, yeah, I recommended he sort of bump his calories up, maybe 400 just to see what happens. But I also recommended carbs, because one of his complaints was he didn't have energy during the workout. And a lot of people are scared of carbohydrates and think carbs are going to make them fat and all this sort of stuff. And carbs are really good for energy. Like, they are energy.
They are energy.
So I recommended fast burning carbs before the workout and then slow burning carbs in every single meal. Because again, muscle doesn't get built in the workout, it gets built in your recovery. So you need to be focusing on your recovery just as much as the workouts. Because your muscle is going to build in the next 24 hours after that workout. And if you haven't got energy for your body to recover, then you're not going to build muscle. So that's a big trap people get in as well. Any tip?
Fast release. Do you want to give some examples? Should I give some examples? Fast release carbs, like before your workout.
Mm-hmm.
Think about things that digest quickly and don't make you feel full or bloated. So like fruit, vegetable sticks, toast. What else? Honey on a cracker or something like that. Like things that give you energy but they digest quickly. And then slower release carbs would be things like potatoes, rice, pasta, anything that's a bit heavier and more satiating after.
It's definitely different for everybody, and you've got to sort of trial and error, because I know a few people that like rice before a workout because it digests quick and that seems to give them enough energy.
Yeah.
So again, just try different things, see what works best for you, but don't skip on the carbs. And then we continued the conversation, and it's just like he was afraid of putting on too much body fat during muscle gain. And I said to him, like, that's just part of it. It's very hard to gain muscle without body fat. So for all the guys out there, because I know I don't know if it's a girl thing, but it's mainly a guy thing. I mostly hear it from the guys. I want to build muscle and lose fat at the same time. And it's not, like, to be honest, it's unless you're a genetic freak or you've got time to just, like, if you haven't got a life and all you're doing is training and eating and training and eating.
Like dialing in your nutrition.
And everything, and you got nothing else going on. Like a movie actor, like literally they have everything paid for. They got a chef cooking every single meal. So everything's like, if you can do that, then yeah, you can gain muscle and lose body fat. If you're a human living your life, I'd say it's very hard. So focus on one and the other. So obviously focus on muscle gain, build a good amount of muscle. And then once you've built that muscle, your body tends to hold on to it. So you can dial the calories back a little bit, continue weight training, and you're going to hold onto that muscle and lose body fat at the same time.
So like a cut.
Yeah, so bulking and cutting. I don't really like using those terms, but yeah.
People will be familiar with them though, right? Okay. Do you think that that's answered Dion's question in full?
Yeah, and just give it time as well.
Yeah.
I said, stick with it for a couple of months and then change, obviously, your program and your calories. Bump them up, bump them down. You sort of play around with it, but just give it a good amount of time. Don't just change everything each week, because you won't see results over weeks. You'll see it over months. Good
question, though. I had a similar question, which was, how do I find out how many calories I should be consuming to build muscle? This is a good question, because a lot of people are sort of like, well, where do I even start? Like, they go to the gym. I feel like when you start going to the gym, you have like the newbie gains and you build muscle, but then obviously you get to like a plateau, like Dion said. So there are a few things you can do. If building muscle specifically is your goal, you should be in a calorie surplus. So firstly, you need to find out what your maintenance calories are. So that means the calories you consume where your body weight doesn't change. Is that clear?
Yep.
Yeah. And then once you find out what your maintenance calories are, then you would add between, 250 to 500 calories a day on top of your maintenance calories while you're following a good program that has progressive overload in it. A few ways to find out what your maintenance calories are. The first one that I would recommend would be to track yourself and then adjust. So that means using MyFitnessPal as religiously as you can and tracking like either your body weight and or body measurements to see what changes, and probably photos as well so you can see what's going on. But track as much stuff as you can. So track your food in MyFitnessPal. Just don't even try to hit a target. Just record what you're eating, record your body weight, and then just see if anything's changing over at least a 4-week period. And if nothing changes over the 4-week period, then you know that this is your maintenance calories. That's also if you're eating a consistent amount of calories a day. And then so once you find an amount of calories that doesn't affect your body weight change, then you would add calories to that. That sounds like a long way to do it, right? That's the best way to do it. The other way that's maybe a little faster is finding an online calculator to calculate your calories. The one that I would recommend the most accurate for building muscle is Mind Pump calorie calculator. So like MINDPUMP. I'll put a link in the show notes because it's kind of hard to find online because I feel like they don't really want people to use it for some reason. Because I feel like they are advocates. They also have a podcast. Mind Pump is a really good health and fitness podcast, but I think that they are advocates for going about it the way that I just said as well, like the longer way, finding out what your actual maintenance is. But yeah, their calculator is really good. So you can go in there and you can choose if you want to cut, maintain, or bulk. I would recommend putting in maintaining, practicing hitting your maintenance calories for a little while before you then bump your calories up. Just to get the hang of it, because sometimes you might already be eating too many calories to build muscle, but your program isn't right, or vice versa. So I think that tracking it and adjusting it as you go is really important.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I would say after finding out your calories, maintenance, surplus, whatever, would be to focus on protein. I mean, we talk about it all of the time. This might as well just be a protein podcast at this point. But yeah, what is the current protein recommendation for according to most research? Height. So your height in centimeters.
In grams of protein per day.
In grams of protein.
A lot. So yeah, again, something else has come out where, not quite that much is still sufficient, but again,
even if you're tracking, it's likely, if you're tracking that you're eating 160 grams of protein, you're likely still not eating 160 grams because you lose it all over the place in digesting it, in cooking it, in
you might just not absorb it. Like
yeah.
You might have a 30 gram protein shake and you might not even absorb it. So yeah, you might as well just go over.
Yeah.
So again, from what I can tell, you can do your own research. There's no really life-threatening issues if you're over-consuming protein, but also working out, weightlifting and being a healthy person at the same time. Mm-hmm. You can eat as much protein as you want.
I mean, it's so funny to me that people are concerned about eating too much protein, but they're not concerned about drinking too much alcohol or eating too much fast food or processed food or whatever other silly things there are out there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Anyway.
So side note, I was just having a consultation with a client this morning and how long have I been working with Alan? Probably 6 months. Mm-hmm. So his goal is muscle gain. And we've been, for 6 months, we've been moving back and forth, adjusting, tracking. So it's not, and we got to the point where he's hit a plateau. So probably Alan's another good example other than Dion. Alan's hit a plateau. He has maintained the same muscle mass for the last 3 check-ins. So we do a body scan every 4 weeks. So he's maintained the same muscle mass. He hasn't got over that for the last 3 months. And a couple of things I said to him, like training. So you really need to focus on your training as well. A lot of people just get comfortable with their training and just go through the motions. And look, that's 100% fine. You still need to be weight training. But if your goal is muscle gain, you really need to be focusing on your training as well. Like dialing in your technique, making sure each exercise, each rep, each set is perfect as well.
And like actually pushing. Like I feel like when you get to a certain point, it's very easy to just go to what's comfortable and not exceed that.
Or what you think you can only do.
Yeah.
But your brain is going to tell you to stop well before you can actually, you need to keep pushing past that point, but also maintaining technique. Yeah. And that's the very hard thing. And that takes a long time to learn. Are you just doing junk volume? Or are you actually doing good, proper reps that are going to actually get you muscle gain? So that's another thing to consider as well. It's not, like I said, I've been working for Alan for 6 months and we're still tracking things, changing things. So, it does take time as well.
The human body is freaking crazy. So it's hard. I feel like the internet maybe makes it seem like it's easy to figure it out and to start progressing, but it's so very hard. Everyone is so extremely different. Yeah, it's not just a matter of just like we're saying probably easy, lift weights and eat enough protein. It's not that easy. Yeah. Everybody's very individual. But
Right.
that's the
So
best place to start.
Who was that, Dylan?
Oh, I didn't write their name down. The next one is, I skipped two to go to this one because it related to Dion. So now let's go back up.
Yep.
How can I make the gym more enjoyable? I want to go, but I feel like I have to force myself to stay there for the whole workout. Claire.
When I started reading this, I was like, oh, that's Bradley for sure.
Oh, really? Did Bradley ask the question this week?
No, he didn't ask
Bradley.
one. But he said this to me.
Oh, really?
A week or two ago.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, he submitted that question. But
What's your
Claire
advice?
as well. Yeah, look, just keep at it and keep changing until you find different things. Like, I guess,
As in you're saying not everyone has to go to the gym and lift weights.
Yeah.
But what if this person wants to build muscle and wants to be in the gym? Like, what if you want to be a gym person, but you don't like being at the gym?
I'd say you probably just need to change the experience a little bit. Maybe go at a different time. Like I always say this to you, like it's just the morning vibe is completely different to the afternoon vibe. So just go at a different time. You might vibe with the people, like although you're not talking to them, but just people around the gym that you might just be vibing with a little bit more morning, afternoon, during the day. Change that. So Dino was another person who hated the gym, didn't want to lift weights, all this sort of stuff, never lifted weights. So he's in his 40s and he hadn't been to the gym, hated weights, and never thought he'd actually enjoy it. And I've tailored a program to suit him, so it's sort of like, you know, he's feeling good. It keeps him entertained during the workouts and all that sort of stuff. So he actually enjoys the gym, and now he wants to go by himself.
Wow.
Which he's like, I never thought that would be me. But he's like, I'm feeling like I'm a gym person now. So actually getting help on how to train properly, or, you know, getting somebody to create a program to suit you. And it's very hard, like, you know, I can't do that straight away. Usually, like somebody like Dino, I've got to work with him for a little bit, and then, you know, it's probably boring, or, you know, now I've sort of know him, I know his style of training and what he likes, you know, what makes him happy in the gym. So obviously I'm going to give him more of those exercises. They might not be optimal exercises, but he's going from a non-gym person to a gym person. You know, it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing some exercises, he's having fun, he's going to come back next time. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
So just keep playing around with it. You will find it. What about you? Got any tips for Claire / Bradley?
Honestly, I think the biggest one for me is the time of day. So like Jack really likes to train in the morning. I absolutely despise training in the morning. 1, I don't like the vibe. 2, my body doesn't feel ready. 3, I haven't eaten enough food. There's just endless reasons why I don't like going in the morning. But I think the reason that I've found the afternoon as my spot is because I like to use my brain. Like I like to do focused work in the morning, and then by the time not everyone has the flexibility that we have either, but if you do, I've just found my groove for the day. So if you can find like your daily groove and where it feels best for you. So if I'm using my brain from like 7 till 12 or whatever, and then I have lunch, and then I sort of hit like a slump, like I'm tired and I don't want to do anything. So that's when I go to the gym. I mean, maybe that's not like intuitively, that doesn't seem like the right thing to do, right? Because you want to go to the gym when you have the most energy, but going to the gym gives me energy. So I've placed my training sessions at like 1 or 2 to give me more energy for the rest of the afternoon. Does that make sense? But also I really, really need to eat enough food before the gym. I don't know why. And when I say that, I mean like I will have had a coffee, a muesli bar, a coffee, egg, steak, bread, salad and meat, chocolate and a hot chocolate before I train. And if I train before just lunch, I just don't feel as good. I don't have as much strength, as much energy. My mood is worse. So over a while of trial and error, I've just found that having an adequate amount of food in my system and the afternoon is like my sweet spot, and it makes the gym more enjoyable because all of those things align. So I feel like if you can play around with different things in your day and your life and see what helps it feel better to be there, and also a playlist. This doesn't affect Jack much. Like Jack listens to what, a podcast?
No, I've been listening to music.
I need a playlist. And I noticed yesterday I went to the gym with a friend and I put my music on the speakers in the gym, and it wasn't the same. Like having music in my ears, like it's in my brain, you know what I mean? It sort of stops me from thinking about how hard the workout is because I'm distracted by the music. So finding a good playlist that like helps you sort of get lost in being in the gym. Like you forget about the people around you, you forget about the other music that's being played, and you're just focusing on yourself. I think that really, really helps me as well.
Yeah.
But then other people like training with friends, you know, and that maybe you need a buddy to push you and to make it more fun to be there.
Yeah. Like Mack just said, like just keep trial and error. Like if it's your goal and you want to get there and do the right thing and keep going and just try different things.
Cool. That's it?
Yep.
Okay. Now we've got Dylan's question. I don't have a lot of time to cook. How can I still eat healthy meals on such a busy schedule? This is a good question because we've recently tried some things, right, to try and fit our schedule. Firstly, I think the easiest way would be to get some sort of meal prepped service. So we got like a locally meal prepped service recently, but you can get like U Foods or My Muscle Chef. Do they do boxes? Or like Light and Easy. We have a client that does Light and Easy, and everything, like even your snacks come with Light and Easy, like your whole day is planned. So you could get like a prep service, even if you get a prep service for just dinner or just lunch, like just one meal. It doesn't necessarily have to be the whole day. So I would say that would be like like tier 1. And then tier 2, I would say, if you want to cook your meals but you feel like you don't have enough time, just make it as easy as you possibly can. So maybe that means buying bags of frozen vegetables, bags of microwave rice, pre-roast chickens, like pre-roast roasts you can actually get from like the supermarket. Things like that require less preparation. Very helpful. You can even, if you're not a fan of frozen vegetables, you can buy so many pre-chopped vegetables at the supermarket now. Like you don't even have to chop anything up. You can buy a bag, put it in a bowl, put some salt and pepper and oil on it, and put it in the oven, and then cook a steak or a piece of chicken, and that's like 20 minutes, right? You can also buy like quinoa or rice or couscous salads at the supermarket, so you could do like that sort of thing with a protein source as well. Do you have anything on the top of your mind?
No, I guess.
Just think about like what is the friction that you're experiencing. So if you feel like you don't have a lot of time to cook, what part of cooking takes the most time for you? Is it the preparation or is it the actual cooking itself? Like maybe you could pre-chop all of your vegetables on the weekend, or maybe you could just cook. We often just cook protein. Like we'll cook a bunch of chicken, cook a steak, I'll pressure cook some beans, so then all of our protein sources are ready, and then all we have to do is add like some eggs or make a salad, and the friction is a lot less. Because for me, cooking the protein, cutting the protein, disgusting. I hate it. So if I do it all at once, it feels a lot easier and a lot faster during the week.
Yeah. Obviously we don't have too much detail on Dylan's life. But you know, a lot of times I'll see guys and girls spend 2 hours in the gym every single day, and like, I haven't got time to cook. It's like, well, you know, probably just having one rest day and using those 2 hours to cook some food is going to be more beneficial than doing that extra, like the 7th workout of the week, or just like you've said it before, time block. Just, I'm sure everybody does have time to cook and meal prep and all that sort of stuff. It's just whether you want to or not. And look, if you don't want to, that's 100% fine. You do you. Like, order some meals. But you know, if you know you got certain goals you want to hit, and this is what you want to achieve, then you might just sacrifice some other things to make time to food prep and all that sort of thing. So, just sort of, you know, what's your goals? How much do you want them? And what are you willing to sacrifice to achieve those goals as well? Is all I'd say to that. Cool.
Last question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we saved the best till last.
I was going to say the same thing.
Okay, what are some things that you've done a complete change on in the last 10 years in regards to training, Jack, and nutrition, Mack? And what made you come to those conclusions? Xavier, first time caller, long time listener. Xavier, I freaking love you.
You need more questions every week.
Every week.
We want one.
Okay, you go first. What's something that you have changed in the last 10 years? I don't think I've been training for 10 years.
Everything.
I definitely haven't.
10 years ago, I would have been, 26? Just opened Primal.
Whoa.
Just before opening Primal. So, look, I've pretty much changed my mind on everything. So, I guess 10 years ago, I was a lot more, if I was doing HIIT training, I'm like, HIIT training is the best. Everybody needs to stop what you're doing, put down those weights, come do HIIT training because it's the best. And, I would have been die hard on those certain things. Or, if I was fasting, I would have been like, fasting, stop eating in the morning, fast. So that would have just been my mindset back then, when now I'm just a little bit more, try it and see what happens. Everything works. Everything doesn't work. So I think I've just changed my mind on how I approach things. I guess that's not just training, but just life in general as well. Just trying to think of an actual thing that I've changed my mind on.
What about obviously HIIT training. Like why? Why did you change your mind on HIIT training? Because it wasn't 10 years ago when I met you, but 6 years ago, you were a lot more CrossFit, cardio focused, and fasting focused. You had a lot of weird beliefs, and I don't even know why you believed that you had to do the things that you did, but you did.
Someone cool told me it was good, so I was
probably
cool
Tim Ferriss.
Probably.
Yeah, but why? Like, do you have any recollection of what made you change your mind, or you think it's all just a gradual change, more education?
Yeah, both. So obviously I've changed my mind on HIIT training, like in particular CrossFit. It's just, I don't think it's an optimal way. CrossFit, as in training every modality, is really good for you. I just don't think I was doing it right, so I ended up in a lot of pain, had all sorts of issues going on, but just enjoyed it. So I pushed through, which made it even worse. So it's like now I've learnt the hard way not to do that through pain, I guess you could say. I did post for this to get a few of these questions on my social media of me doing a snatch. And it's funny, like I had, wrist wraps, knee wraps, this, that, all these things just so I could perform in the exercise.
Remember the elaborate gym bag we used to have?
Yeah.
We would have a gym bag full of all the accessories to go to CrossFit because you needed, honestly, like 8 different accessories just to do a workout.
Yeah, you needed the massage ball, the Theraguns, the ice pack, heat pack, hand grip. Yeah.
Skipping rope,
because you'd rip your hand apart.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff. Again, good fun, but I've just learnt that that's not a good way to train long term and for longevity. If I kept doing that by now, I'd probably need a shoulder reconstruction or something like that.
Yeah.
So just things like that. I guess Olympic lifting, I have changed my mind on as well. I love Olympic lifting. A lot of people hate it and think it's bad and people shouldn't do it, but it's good fun. I just don't think it should be done at high intensity like we were doing in CrossFit. Doing it as it should be doing, weightlifting style, yeah, really good. It's a good overall body movement, good for power production, good for mind-body connection, cognitive, like everything. They're really good for you, but it's just low intensity. And
focusing on like the technique and the movement pattern, right?
Moving the barbell properly rather than moving it as fast as possible.
Yeah.
One thing I've spoken about this on the podcast before about CrossFit just got me in a bad habit of finishing the rep too soon because it's just about getting the reps done. And it's not a good way to build muscle or hypertrophy, longevity of joints and all that sort of stuff. And so now, I'll finish my last rep of, if I'm doing 10 reps and I'm like my 9th and 10th rep is super slow, super controlled, I make sure I start and finish in the same position. Where CrossFit was just like last rep's done, drop the barbell, run away type thing. So that's changed. Yeah, I don't know. Training. I sort of... I don't think yoga and all that sort of stuff's bad, but I do think if you weightlift properly, you can get some benefits, like, you know, lift and move weights properly. You can get some benefits from yoga that, you know, that you don't really need to do it every single day to increase your flexibility and mobility. Yoga's good. Since with our last guest last week, I have been doing it every morning.
That's true.
Just not much. So I have been doing it, but it's like I don't believe you have to, you know, do yoga to increase your flexibility and mobility. If you just lift weights properly and move properly under load, you can get the same results.
I think yoga, I mean, yeah, sure, it's good for mobility and flexibility, but I think yoga is, if you were to do it as a daily practice, I think you should do it more, this is my personal opinion, but more from the perspective of like connecting your mind with your body.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yep. I think it's good for that, but, you know, usually when people want to increase their flexibility, they go, I have to do yoga.
Yeah,
it's like,
true.
well, no. Lift weights properly and you'll probably get better results, faster results as well. Nutrition?
Honestly, 10 years ago, I was 17 and I hadn't even considered my nutrition yet. Wait, was it? That's crazy. 17. I only started working out and considering that food even played a role in my life and how I felt maybe when I was 21, so 6 years ago.
Still a lot sooner than most people.
True. So since then, I guess since studying nutrition and starting, the thing I think at the beginning that I was like, I somehow became basically religious about was that dairy and wheat were bad. Remember how much of a stickler I was for that in the beginning? To be fair, in my defense, I had a lot of gut issues and I did have to cut them out for a while. But I think in the beginning, I was like, no one should have dairy or wheat or processed foods or sugar. Like, I was crazy with it, right? When I first started, it's like I went from eating KFC, McDonald's, binge drinking, partying, all of the bad things, to the complete opposite at the beginning, which was only eat vegetables and meat. And I thought that that's what everyone should do, and this was the only way to do nutrition. Like, just eat completely clean. Clean is the word. I was such a stickler for clean eating. It was insane. And I think it affected my quality of life a lot because I wouldn't go to things. I wouldn't go to events. I wouldn't go out with people. I wouldn't go to like parties anymore because I didn't want to not be clean. But yeah, I think that being sick made me think that, and when I cut out dairy and wheat and all of the sugar and stuff and I got better, I was like, whoa, this is what's wrong with the world, but not necessarily. It's just that I overdid it. Like, I overdid the shitty processed food, the alcohol, the drugs, and that made me sick. Whereas if I was just a normal person and had like a small amount, then it would have been fine. But I think that's what I've changed my mindset on now, is like, you can still have what's not clean food. Like, food shouldn't be labeled as clean or unclean. You should be able to eat everything. We do eat everything now. Because like, food is life, right? What's the point of life if you can't enjoy food, especially with people, and as an experience? So I think that's probably the biggest change that I had. How I got to that, I'm not really sure. I think I slowly just started getting more educated and getting out of like the crazy bubble on the internet, like the bubble of, you know how there's like women on the internet that are like clean or death, pretty much, like clean eating, clean lifestyle, or die. I just sort of got out of that bubble and saw that you could be in shape and you could be healthy and have nice skin, hair, nails, etc., and still have like a croissant every now and then, or go out for a beer with friends. Like, I just started seeing that that was realistic as well. And to be honest, in the last 6 years, I feel like social media has had a very big impact on my beliefs. Like, if I follow people that believe one thing, then I am more inclined to also believe that. Whereas if I follow people that are like, you shouldn't have to pick a camp, then I'm like, oh wow, camps are just made up. Like, does that make sense?
But isn't that like the natural arc of everybody? Like, somebody starts something, they start to get results, and they're like, oh my God, this is the best. I'm getting results. Everybody come and do this because I'm like, I got results. You're going to get results.
Yeah.
And that's not always the case, but like obviously I was the same as well. Like, but it's just time and self-knowledge and education that you realise, well, there's a lot of ways you can get results. It's just calm down, and not everybody has to do this one thing.
Yeah.
But I guess in that first initial, big one is when people go cut out, they go vegan and they only eat plants and that sort of stuff. You're cutting out a lot of bad stuff, and obviously you're going to get a lot healthier. You're going to, feel better, have more energy, all that sort of stuff. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's being vegan is. But if you do that, you get results. But then, you start telling everybody, come do this, and then people start noticing your results, and you help people get those results doing what you're doing, and then it's just like a big. And then it's hard to get out of that bubble because that's your thing, and you've got to keep doing that thing.
It's the label. Labels are satisfying and they're easy to explain. And that's why things like V-shred and vegan and paleo and fasting, that's why things like that sell, and that's why they go viral, because they're easy to explain, and it's just like a little box. Everything fits in a nice tiny little package, and it's easy to present to the world as this is the answer. And we just want things to be simple, and we want things to be the answer. But I feel like us, through the business, have figured out, like with working with a bunch of people, there is no pretty neat little box. Everyone is so vastly different. Not one thing that you do with one client is going to suit another client, ever. And I feel like that's what also makes it hard to sell, like us as coaching, because we can't put this little thing in a neat little box and say, here, if you come with me and we get rid of all the dairy and wheat and we just do HIIT training, you'll look like this, because it doesn't work like that.
Little side note, it's funny, Lane Norton's brought out a new book or something, and he's just doing a heap of different podcasts and a lot of different content, and he was just reading through a study that's been done on protein or something about longevity and this sort of stuff, and then Lane's not necessarily pro-meat or, pro-vegan. He's just like, this is a result. So he's like, eat meat, it's good for you. And then this vegan influencer was almost like debunking his review of the study. So he went through the study, and he's found a completely, you just had two different scientists, there are scientists, talking about the same study with two different conclusions. Yeah. And it's just like, I've found both opinions very intriguing and very good, and I accept both of them. But it's just good to see, one is sort of a meat eater and one's a, non-meat eater, and they read the same study but got the two different outcomes from it.
Because everything is up to interpretation, right?
Exactly. And, and they sort of said that as well, but at the same time, it's like, well, they're obviously in their camps. They've got results in their camps, and they're getting people results in their camps. So it's just, sometimes you've got to step outside the camp and see what else is going on.
Even with the podcast, I feel like we try to be as neutral as possible, because we don't necessarily have a camp for anything. That's the whole point of our philosophy, right? But even from episodes, people still will pick a camp that they think we're in, but we haven't at all identified that this is the way. You know what I mean? People just, it's just like some sort of underlying bias that we don't even realize we have that causes you to pick a camp. Yeah. Even if it's completely made up.
And look, we might be, and that's why I want to try and get a vast different amount of guests on to challenge our beliefs. I'm not saying we're always right and everybody should do what we say, but challenging those beliefs is a good idea as well.
When's Xavier going to come on?
Xavier, I said exactly the same thing.
This is an official invite to come on the podcast, because I feel like he would have some really good insights. I also want to know what he's changed his mind on in the last 10 years as well.
We're going to ask all these questions back to you, Xavier, when you come on. Yeah. All right. That's it?
That's it.
Well, big Q&A. Obviously, if you've lasted this far, you've enjoyed the episode, so make sure you copy the show link, send it to one friend or family member. We do appreciate it when you do that, because it does help this show grow. And we love that you have given us your time and been with us for this whole episode. So thanks again. We appreciate you. And